So here I've taken the access panel off of the area where the pump is, and this is right underneath the bottom bunk, and next to the electrical. So there's two valves in here. The front one connected to this black hose, that's a siphon hose for the antifreeze. The back one that you can see right now is open, is going to the fresh water tank. So that pumps water normally out of the fresh water tank through the pump and then up through this hose, which then goes out to my water lines, you know, into my hot water heater and over to my sinks and shower, and then outside faucets as well. So first step here is going to be to, I've already drained the low plug drains. I've opened those up. Those are underneath the sink. So these little valves down here have been lifted up. So now that I've already drained the water, the next thing to do is to close those back up, because I'm eventually going to pressurize the whole system and run antifreeze through it. So I first opened those valves up, then I opened the drains, both in the front galley here, as well as in the shower. I also opened them up on the outside shower as well. So I'm gonna get the valves changed over and get some antifreeze hooked up, and then I'll start recording. So I'm gonna see if I can get a picture of these valves. Underneath the electrical compartment here, there's this little area down here, and you can see underneath there, there's two valves, and those are the hot water heater valves. So right now they're open to the hot water heater. I'm going to turn those, and let me see, I'll turn one. They're a little hard to reach. Oh, I can reach them from in here. So you can see I just turned them 90 degrees. And what that is doing now is closing off. That's the cold water connection to the water heater. And then the other valve, a little harder to get at, is down here. I'm going to turn that to bypass the hot water outlet of the hot water heater. So these valves down here on the water heater, I've turned them 90 degrees. So now the cold water, instead of going into the tank, because this valve, when it was turned the other direction, would open it towards the tank, but I've closed this valve, or opened it, shifted it, so the water now is going to flow through this hose, and also the valve on the other end has no longer pulls water out of the hot water tank, but then that hot water line, the red line you see coming out of it, goes to my taps, my hot water taps. So the antifreeze, when I start pumping it through here, is going to come straight through this white hose here and then out to my hot water taps. So in addition to the two valves over here, the siphon valve and the fresh water tank valve, we need to switch these two valves right here to bypass the water heater. So again, here's the two valves in the pump compartment. So you can see right now they're in the normal operating position. And for winterizing, what I want to do is I want to close this valve back here. So I'm going to turn that 90 degrees. So what I've done is that's the water line from the fresh water tank to the pump has now been closed. And I'm going to open up the siphon hose, turn that 90 degrees. So that's now opened it for this black siphon line right here. And that line is going to go into my antifreeze bucket or bottle. And just, you always need to make sure you're using RV antifreeze. So this antifreeze, you don't want to ever use the same stuff that you're putting in your car, your automotive antifreeze. That's highly toxic. So you want to use RV antifreeze always. So here you can see that I've inserted the siphon hose into the antifreeze bottle. I put it down as far as I can, and to make sure I could get it, you know, into the bottle as far as I could, I put the bottle inside of this pump compartment. There's plenty of room to do that here in this model of Hike 100. I've got the TB version, so with the twin beds. Made sure that I've closed my low point drains here. I'm going to also go around. I'm going to turn off the faucet for the sink and the showers. I'm going to turn these off here in the shower compartment, and I'm going to go outside and turn off the outside shower. Doing this after work, so it's dark today, but I'm going to turn off the outside shower valves. I've already drained the hot water heater. I've relieved the pressure off of the relief valve, opened that up and relieved pressure. Then I removed the plug here, and I've set it aside. I'm going to put it back on loosely before I close things up. Just never know if something's going to crawl inside that and into my water tank. So before I'm all done, I'm going to just loosely put that plug back in place. All right, so I've now turned everything back off, shut off all the water. I've got my valves bypassing my hot water tank, and my freshwater tank is closed off. The freshwater tank's been drained, my gray water tank's been drained, so those don't need any attention. And now I've got my antifreeze there with the siphon tube plugged in. I'm going to go ahead and pressurize my system by turning on my water pump. And there I could hear the pump turned on. I could see what some of the antifreeze is drained out of the bottle. So I'm going to go around now. I'm going to start running some of that antifreeze through my sinks and all my water outlets here. So I'm going to set this plug off to the side, because eventually I'm going to want to put a little bit of antifreeze down that trap, even after I've even run it a little bit. So I'm going to run the cold here first until I have some pink coming out. There we go, got some good pink coming out of the cold water side. I'm going to run a little bit of hot water so I can see a little bit of regular water came out, and now it's coming out good and pink. So I'm good on that faucet. I've got my antifreeze coming through there. I'm now going to go into first to the sink portion of the shower room here, and I'm going to run a little bit of the hot water until I've got pink coming out, and it's already pink there. So I'm going to I'll run it for just another second, make sure my lines are full. I'm going to run the cold water. I got pink there, so that's good. And then lastly, I'm going to switch my and run through my shower head here. All right, so that's coming out nice and pink, so I can shut that off. And looks like my bottle's just about empty, so I'm going to pump just a little bit more out of there. Maybe I'll just dump that down one of my P-traps, and I'll get my second bottle. Probably could accomplish this with one bottle, but I bought two just in case, and it looks like I made that a safe call. As I said, I'm going to pour the little bit of antifreeze that's left in this bottle down my P-traps. I want to run a little bit of antifreeze through my toilet until I see some pink. And there I've got some good pink in my toilet. We'll just dump that into the tank. Now I can be sure that I've got antifreeze in my water line going to my toilet. So on the outside, we have this spray port in the front side, and I've hooked up my spray hose to it so that I can spray some antifreeze through here. I just want to make sure that that line coming up to this port has got antifreeze in it as well. I wouldn't want that line to freeze because I imagine it's buried in this wall here in the front of the unit. So it's a little dark out, but I'm going to try and spray through here until I see some pink coming through. And I can clearly see a little pink. Might be hard to see in the dark here with the camera, but I definitely had some antifreeze coming through that line. Great. Now I'm going to go back to the back of the unit and we'll take care of the shower. So out here I want to make sure that I'm running water both through my hot water line and my cold water. So I'll start with the hot water. I believe that's what this is. Again, a little hard to see whether I've got pink coming out, but I'm pretty confident that's pink. And I'm going to do the same with the cold water. And I see good pink coming through there as well. So I think we're good. And you can see the bubbles down there on the ground. That's antifreeze is bubbling up. So like I said, I was going to put that cap back on loosely. I've done that. Closed the relief valve. I'm going to button up this compartment. And before I forget, I'm going to end up buying a screen to put over this. Just looks like one more entry point for critters to come in, crawl inside my heater. And then also here's my exhaust too for the furnace. So I've got that to plug up yet. But as far as the water goes, I think I'm pretty good. I'm going to put a little more through the kitchen P-trap. And I'm going to just do a quick check on my gray water tank here. I can see a little bit of antifreeze went in there from the work I've done. So I feel comfortable about the gray water tank. It's empty except for a little bit of antifreeze and water there. And my cold water tank, or my fresh water tank, excuse me, has been drained. I'm going to leave that drain plug. I think I'm going to leave that open, but we're getting pretty close here. All right, I'm going to leave the valves in this position with the siphon valve open and the freshwater valve closed. And then next spring when I'm ready to open this thing back up, I'll just get back in here, switch those valves, and be ready to run some fresh water through. So then last but not least, I'm going to dump the excess antifreeze I have here down the P-trap in the galley sink. So that's filling my P-trap up. The extra is now just gone into my gray water tank. So I'll put this little plug back there. We'll cover this up. And from a water side, we're all buttoned up. I'll put the access panels back in place. And then the last thing I'm going to do to winterize this unit is I'm going to remove my batteries. I'm going to take a picture of how they're hooked up just so I can make sure to easily hook them back up again in the spring. I'm going to bring those batteries inside. You should always do that with lead cell batteries if you don't have them out of battery tender. Otherwise, there's a likelihood they can freeze. And then I'm also going to put some sort of cover over my solar panel on the roof of this unit. And then we should be good to go. So hope this is helpful for anybody watching this video. Quick addendum. Before you're all done, you're going to want to shut off your water pump at your main control panel.